Hello. Today I'd like to talk about a fragrance that pulls the aquatic genre out of the world of conventional men's cologne, and that's Zoologist's Portuguese Men O' War. This brand gives it a very direct concept, which is fresh seawater plus electric jolt. The perfumer is Anthony Lee, a brilliant perfumer, and the notes include ginger, saffron, Immortelle, Caribbean gunpowder, jasmine, geranium, seaweed absolute, sandalwood, and tonka bean. Because in a lot of modern fragrances, the ocean doesn't really smell like the ocean anymore. It smells like men's shower gel, like skiing right after a shower at the gym, like a t-shirt that has just come out of the laundry. And what many modern aquatic gives us is not really the ocean, but a sanitized version of nature. The ocean becomes a symbol of hygiene, a kind of body language that says, I'm fresh, I'm clean, I'm easy to be around. What makes Portuguese Men O' War interesting to me is that it refuses to turn the ocean into something clean. There is seawater here, but it is not being used to suggest cleanliness. It feels much closer to an actual moment by the coast. Salt in the air, wind, heat, algae soaked by the waves, and that slightly fishy green smell rising from sun-warmed rocks. Let me give it a try. I think there is a freshness at the opening, but it is actually very sharp. It is not the cheerful brightness you get from the citrus notes in many other men's perfumes like lemon, bergamot, or mint. Instead, the heat of ginger cuts across the skin first. The ginger does not feel edible, and it is not being used as a warm, exotic spice either. It feels more like a sting in salt water, that little flash of pain when sea wind hit a crack in your lip. Then the gunpowder appears. This is not the thick, black, charred smoke you might find in a smoky fragrance. It is more metallic, drier, and much more sudden, almost like a quick spark. It makes the coolness we normally associate with aquatic fragrances feel tense. A lot of aquatic fragrances chase clarity and cleanliness, as if the job is to wash everything off the surface of the body. The opening of this fragrance does the opposite. It wakes the surface of the skin back up. Salt, ginger, metal, together they create a very subtle sense of alert, almost like the body has been put on notice. This is where it really separates itself from a conventional aquatic perfume. In Portuguese Men O' War, the ocean is not just a background. It is an active ecosystem. As the seaweed absolute starts to come through, the texture of this fragrance changes. It is no longer just thought floating in the air. It becomes damp, green, and slightly sticky. The seaweed is important because it breaks the illusion that seawater should smell transparent and clean. The real ocean is never purified water. It contains plants, residue carried in by the tide, things that are dying, things that are growing. I really like the physical presence of the seaweed here. It is not aggressively fishy, and it does not feel weird just for the sake of being weird. It gives the fragrance material thickness. You can smell that there is something in the water, and that something matters. Once the water contains something, the sea can no longer be imagined as a simple space for cleanliness. It becomes a space of life again. The Immortelle is also fascinating. Immortelle can smell like dry hay, syrup, curry, honey, herbal bitterness all mixed together, even sun-dried skin a little. And here it heats up the surface of the ocean. This is not the gray-blue mist of a cold northern coast. It feels tropical. The sun is intense. Salt is drying on the surface, and there is something dry, bitter, almost scorched in the wind. So the freshness in this fragrance is actually quite complicated. Yes, it feels fresh to me, but not the freshness from toothpaste, laundry detergent, or body wash. It is much closer to the freshness of being exposed to real nature. Wind that wakes you up, salt that tightens your skin, sun that heats the moisture in the air, and seaweed that makes that air feel damp and tangible. And this is one of the things zoologists can do very well with its animal concepts. It does not simply ask, what should a Portuguese man-o-war smell like? The creature itself may not have a smell that can be translated literally into perfume. What the fragrance translates instead is the world around the jellyfish, drifting, salt water, tentacles, stinging, danger. But I do not really want to describe this perfume as a dangerous fragrance. To me, it is more interesting as an anti-clean aquatic perfume. It makes us realize that the idea of a clean ocean is largely something consumer culture has constructed for us. We filter out the parts of nature that makes us uncomfortable and keep only the parts that work in advertising: blue water, transparency, freedom, athleticism, perfect skin. And Portuguese man-o-war starts putting those filtered out elements back in. The seaweed comes back, the salt comes back, the hot wind comes back, the metallic sting comes back, and even the sense of a living body comes back. And later on, sandalwood and tonka bean gradually pull the fragrance closer to the skin. That transition matters to me because if it stayed entirely in the world of sea wind and gunpowder, it could become a fragrance with a very strong concept but very little connection to our body. But sandalwood gives it a dry, woody outline, while tonka adds a soft, slightly sweet, powdery warmth. So the salty grain prickly elements stop feeling like something outside our body. They become something left behind on the skin. It feels like coming home from the beach. You have left the ocean, but the ocean has not completely left you. This is why I think Zoologist Portuguese man-o-war as a fragrance that gives the aquatic genre back to the ocean. It does not turn the ocean into the safe, clean backdrop of a blue men's fragrance. It gives the sea its texture back, its heat, its organic feeling, and probably a little bit of danger as well. And that's my reflection on Portuguese man-o-war from Zoologist. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.